Hi, grandparents. We are back today talking about the grandparenting ABCs. We're almost through the alphabet because today is O, and I'm going to do a zinger here today. O is for opinion. How many times do we get ourselves in trouble with our opinions? Unfortunately, I think it happens more frequently than it should for all human beings, not just grandparents. So let's look at the definition. Opinion. It's a view or a judgment formed about things or people, and catch this, it's not necessarily based on facts or knowledge. So sometimes these are just the things we pull out of the sky and put in our heads and our hearts, not necessarily wise. Another dictionary says that opinions are judgments that rest on grounds insufficient to produce complete certainty. Oh boy, grandparents, here's where you and I need to monitor ourselves and be very careful so we don't offend or upset or hurt our children and ultimately our grandchildren. There are times we need to learn to just zip it and keep our mouths shut and not express our opinions, right? I know that's a hard truth, but it's a real truth. So here's what I want us to think about as grandparents. Things that are directly related to grandparenting and can coincide with opinions in a good or a bad way. And then we need to check ourselves once in a while. So think about this. First of all, our children are independent adults in the natural progression of things. Now, if we're raising grandkids, that's a totally different picture. But if our adult children have grown up, they're supporting themselves, they're raising a family, we need to remember that and allow them the freedom to be adults just like we want the freedom to be adults. So the choice of their spouse is their choice. How to raise their children is their choice. Whether to let you be closely involved with their children or not is also their choice. Those are some hard things because sometimes we don't get along with everybody and maybe we're not happy with who they chose as their spouse. But we still have to remember these are the people that our children love, and we need to do our best to be a happy part of the equation. One thing I'd like you to remember about expressing opinions, and this is kind of just a little tiny bit of wisdom to think about. A positive opinion is encouragement, but a negative opinion tears down and destroys. So that's why I say it's important when we are getting ready to express something negative, we need to think twice and just remember those 4 points that I just covered. You know, your children are adults, they chose their spouse, they're choosing how to raise their children, and they will ultimately decide how intimately we can be involved with our grandchildren. So we need to be wise. Now, here's some wisdom when expressing opinions. First of all, we should search for the real facts. Remember, the definition said that, opinions are just based on things that aren't necessarily true or factual. We need to think about that and be careful. Make sure we have knowledge before we express opinions. We need to think twice, 3 times, and 4 times before opening our mouths. That's just good instruction for all areas of life. There's an old adage about opening mouth and inserting foot, right? We all know that. Don't do it, and particularly don't do it when it comes to our grandchildren and our children. If you see something that's bothering you, ask if they want some help. Ask if they want an opinion or a little bit of guidance. If they say no, then just graciously remove yourself from that situation and don't express an opinion. They may surprise you and say, yes, this has been bothering me. I really need some help. What do you think? If they say that, you've got an open door to kindly offer some guidance and some wisdom. So ask first. Here's another thing. We've said it already. I'm going to say it again. Choose when to keep silent. Sometimes we have to learn the hard way. We've all been through learning by making mistakes, and our children and our grandchildren will have to learn that way too sometimes. And pray always. Okay, pray before you speak. Ask God to give you wisdom in what you say to your children and your grandchildren. I know I've talked a lot about speaking and expressing opinions as it relates to our children and their choices as far as raising their own children, but I also want you to think about the opinions you express to your grandchildren. Little hearts are so tender. It's so easy if we say something negative to them that it becomes a lifelong influence, because you're somebody a grandchild loves without reservation. And in their world, you're very big. You have a great influence on them. So be very gentle in negative opinions. Express as much positive and encouragement as you can. So keep those opinions gracious, loving, and based on fact. Okay? That's it for today. We love you. Thanks for tuning in to Grandparenting A to Z, and we'll see you again next week.